Republicans have described Ocasio-Cortez as the leader of her party, as the boss of the Democratic Party. And there's a reason that they're saying that, because she is. And she said so herself in an interview on Friday. Watch this.
Oh, it's unrealistic. Oh, it's vague. Oh, it doesn't address this little minute thing. And I'm like, you try. You do it. Because you're not. Because you're not. So until you do it, I'm the boss. How about that?
She's the boss. So how did this happen? Well, for the last 2 years, Democrats have been very distracted. They have spent all of their time hating Donald Trump and none of their time thinking about what they would do if they ever took charge, as he just did of the Congress last November. So they arrive in Washington in January and they have no idea what to do. Lucky for them, someone had a plan. She was a 29-year-old bartender from the Bronx, and she showed up with a brand new Democratic platform already written. She imposed it on her party. It's called the Green New Deal. And in less than 2 months, she has basically convinced the entire leadership of the Democratic Party to buy into this plan, to ratify it. It's a perfect plan. It would shut down the entire American economy except for the hedge funds that fund Democratic campaigns. Absolutely perfect. There's only one downside. The plan, if enacted, would cost, some estimate, more than the entire global GDP. Not the GDP of the United States, but the GDP of the world. It's pretty expensive. But it doesn't bother Ocasio-Cortez at all. She doesn't care. Listen to her describe her reaction to the bean counter's description of this is too expensive. Here's what she says in response.
Our planet is going to face disaster if we don't turn this ship around. And so it's basically like there's scientific consensus that the lives of children are going to be very difficult. And it does lead, I think, young people to have a legitimate question. You know, is it okay to still have children?
Is it okay to still have children? Well, I don't know, Alexandria. Can we? You're the boss now. If you say we can't reproduce the species, of course we won't. It's your call. My gosh. It's a measure of how cowardly and passive everyone's become all of a sudden that a chorus of right-thinking Democrats hasn't told this idiotic windbag to be quiet and take a seat. Don't talk until you learn something. But, of course, nobody's done that. They're all too afraid of her. What you're watching isn't politics. It's a children's crusade, an army of tiny combatants marching off in oversized clothes into an unknown, puffed up with ignorant self-righteousness. Last week, as if on cue, activists showed up with a group of kids to harass California Senator Dianne Feinstein for the crime of not endorsing the Green New Deal. Watch.
Some scientists have said that we have 12 years to turn this around.
Well, it's not going to get turned around in 10 years. What we can do,
Senator, if this doesn't get turned around in 10 years, you're looking at the faces of the people who are going to be living with these consequences.
The government is supposed to be for the people and by the people and all for the people.
You know what's interesting about this group is I've been doing this for 30 years. I know what I'm doing. You come in here and you say it has to be my way or the highway. I don't respond to that.
Any plan that doesn't take bold, transformative action is not going to be what we need.
Well, you know better than I do. So I think one day you should run for the Senate.
You almost feel a little bad for Dianne Feinstein. This is not the politics that she joined. When Dianne Feinstein became a U.S. Senator 27 years ago, the Democratic Party was still sort of tethered to reality. They cared about the middle class, or said they did. They wanted a secure border. Dianne Feinstein made that case herself. They said they wanted abortion to be legal, but at least they said they also wanted it to be rare. They never told you not to have children. Dianne Feinstein is 85 now. She is not the future of the Democratic Party. Comrade Ocasio-Cortez is the future. She may be arrogant and dumb, but at one point she's absolutely right. She is the boss.
President Trump did not win an Oscar, and he wasn't at last night's ceremony, but his presence was certainly there. Spike Lee made sure everyone got the message. He's not a big fan, and today the president responded as only he can. Let's talk about it now with senior political analyst Britt Hume. Good evening, Britt.
Hi, Chris.
So, last night, Spike Lee finally, after a long career, finally won an Oscar, and he ended his acceptance speech with this. Take a look.
The 2020 presidential election is around the corner. Let's all mobilize. Let's all be on the right side of history. Make the moral choice between love versus hate. Let's do the right thing.
President Trump took exception, tweeting this morning, "Be nice if Spike Lee could read his notes, or better yet, not have to use notes at all when doing his racist hit on your president, who has done more for African Americans, criminal justice reform, lowest unemployment numbers in history, tax cuts, etc., than almost any other president." Britt, what do you make of that exchange?
Well, I don't think it was racist. And I don't even think it was particularly anti-Trump. He didn't mention the president. Look, Chris, you may have heard me on this before. I think the way the word racist is flung around these days is a terrible thing. It was a great triumph of the civil rights movement, the national consensus, overwhelming national consensus against racism. And the word has been weaponized in politics. It's used often by the left against conservatives and Republicans. Now we have the president using it against Spike Lee, who is obviously a Democrat and a leftist. I think the president is out of line on this. I think Spike Lee, I mean, he said some pretty strong things before, but that was a kind of a unifying message. He said love versus hate. I think, Chris, you and I are both for love versus hate. I would think if you asked the president, he'd say he was too. So I don't think it was his finest moment, that response.
And then there were a number of comments during the night about Mexico and the wall. Here are just a few of those.
There is no host tonight. There won't be a popular movie category, and Mexico is not paying for the wall.
There are no borders or walls that can restrain ingenuity and talent.
And Alfonso Cuarón won not one, not two, but 3 Oscars for his movie Roma, talking about Mexico and praising Mexico. It seemed pretty clear last night, Britt, that Hollywood is on one side of the wall and the Mexico controversy and thinks the president is on the other.
Well, I think that's right, Chris, but I think it goes a little beyond that. I think the way Hollywood has gotten, and with it the Oscar ceremony has gotten, is that Hollywood is on one side of a divide in this country, and with about half the country perhaps, and the other half of the country is on the other side. Now, there was a time, when the entertainment industry thought it was its business to entertain and attract as many people as possible. Those days seem to be gone. The Oscar ceremony used to be kind of a national moment. Everybody watched. It was not politics drenched the way it is now. In fact, Chris, I just happened to see a clip the other day because a man named Stanley Donen, who was a longtime director, the man who directed the famous film Singing in the Rain, died. And he got in 1998, he got a career Oscar, Lifetime Achievement Award, and he did an absolutely charming little acceptance speech in which he sang a song and did a little soft shoe and then thanked all the talented people who worked for him. The audience went wild. That's how the Oscars used to be. I think they'd be better off if they were that way today.
Political analyst and movie critic Britt Hume. Britt, always a pleasure.
Thanks, Chris.
And now onto a high school student in California who's taking on her school after being told she can't wear a MAGA hat to class. Maddie Muller says she was just trying to show her pride in her country when the school claimed she had violated the dress code. The Clovis Unified School District is telling the Ingram Angle that Muller could not wear the hat, though, because it wasn't a school hat or a hat from a school club or activity. Our dress code is actually silent on political attire because we don't intend to position ourselves to be making subjective judgments about what is and isn't political. Well, now with me is Maddie Muller. Maddie, the school says the rules about hats are clear. I'm not a big one for hats indoors, period. I don't like hats indoors. I think if you're at a baseball game or you're in the sun, hats indoors, I don't care what hat it is. I'm not really a big fan of it. But they say this has nothing to do with stifling your political beliefs. Do you believe that?
I would have to say that I wholeheartedly disagree.
Okay, so what evidence do you have that the school is actually discriminating against your political beliefs?
Currently on campus, as of today, I checked today, I saw 4 Hillary Clinton t-shirts, 1 Obama shirt, a Bernie Sanders hat, and about 7 LGBTQ rainbow flag hats on campus today.
Were they in classrooms?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's pretty good evidence. Okay. So it looks like, if that's accurate, and I don't have any reason not to believe it, if that's accurate, then people can just kind of wear what they want to wear in school. I mean, I see kids coming out of school, they're wearing short shorts and stuff like, whoa, my mother would have freaked out. But they're wearing lots of stuff, including hats, and I see a lot of political symbols on shirts. It seems like kids are encouraged to be kind of mini activists, which is it's not how I grew up, but that's how kids are. But if you're a conservative activist, then you're kind of a hater. That's how the dominant culture sees you. Why did you want to kind of pick this fight, which is pretty brave to do at most probably public schools in the country?
Thank you. I chose to pick this particular battle because I ended up at the beginning of the first semester getting an internship with Devin Nunes and David Valadeo during their midterms. And that's when I really discovered my true passion for politics. And I realized that the school systems seem to be trapped under the government's thumb about what they're supposed to, you know, teach, what's acceptable to force down our throats in a sense. And I realized that it's not always the truth. So I chose that as a conservative, raised in a family that my family was made through adoption. So I was born into the pro-life army. And I just decided that I felt like someone needed to take a stand. Someone needed to stand up, not just for Clovis North, not just for Clovis Unified, but nationwide for the conservative and Christianity monitoring that's going on campuses.
Okay, so there's a federal judge actually said, or a judge, I'm not sure, a federal judge, said the following, we'll put it up on screen, about MAGA hats. Well, the hat is something that could invoke violence or invoke controversy. Then for the safety of the students, the school is within its legal rights. A former federal district court judge, Oliver Wagner, said that. So your hat could provoke people to violence. So I imagine that gets thrown on the list of reasons why this hat, and they claim it's not political, but this hat is a problem.
Yeah, actually that, until the judge said it, had never been brought to my attention.
Wow. Are you going to keep wearing the hat?
Yeah. I haven't been, just because I know that it's a big issue right now. But I did order a black one, and I intend to try and wear it on campus, because black is one of our school colors. I'm going to try it.
Maybe you
in
do
fact,
an acronym.
Today.
Yeah, maybe just the MAGA. You can't say MAGA either. I don't know. Maybe you have a silhouette of Trump.
Yeah.
I don't know what
in fact,
you can have.
Today I went to. Yeah, sorry. Today I went in to school and I guarantee I'm the only student, but I had to get my Support the Blue sweatshirt approved. I have to get all of my sweatshirts and shirts approved through the disciplinary office before I can actually wear them.
You look pretty.
What can I say?
Yeah, you look pretty edgy. You look like you're in real trouble at school. So, all right. Well, it's very interesting. We'll be following. That's a nonconformist here on the Ingram Angle. We really appreciate it.